in Nigeria. These are just some of the people we've been talking to, that we're working with, that we're trying to bring on board in many different ways. As we bring them on board, we're going to be pushing them down to the subnationals as well, because we know that if everybody gets access to resources and partners, we'll get a bigger ecosystem going. I've almost finished, actually. So yes, I mean, again, on the left-hand side, you see some of the things that we're bringing. ICE, which will be explained later, which is the capacity building, the IP registry, Origins of the Digital Culture Hub. We're also going to have people present on a few of the programs that we've signed up partnerships on, which will all come on later this afternoon. This is actually a bit too much information now. So this is what we want to do. We want to transform the institution. We want to be able to unlock the value chain for the cultural and creative industries, working with all the agencies, working with the ministry, working with our partners in the private sector and the multilaterals to enable us to actually serve the community. There's so many sectors, and I know for a fact, because I've worked in this sector for 30 years, most of these sectors have not actually had any engagement with government. They don't necessarily trust government, they just do what they do. So what we need to try and do from government is create an enabling environment for them to continue to do what they do without getting in their way. And hopefully that will be something that we can all work with. So this is it for us. Unlocking value through intentional backing of Nigerian ideas, Nigerian IP, and the Nigerian people. That is what we see as our mandate. Be creative, and if you're innovative and creative, we will get to the Naira, and the Naira can convert to the dollar at any point in time once you have enough Naira. Thank you very much.
Please, we can do more than that. Please, let's put our hands together once again.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together for this very wonderful presentation. Because I remembered when the Honorable Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy summoned all the DGs, sometimes this year, to get them acquainted with actually what you want to achieve. And I saw it in the field of management as management by objectives. Therefore, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for them, ladies and gentlemen. Well, in our midst, we have our very dear own, our brother himself. The appointment was very, very correct, meaning the particulars are correct. Just like what happened with the driver from the north to the east. He met the police asked him of his particulars, and then he said the particulars are not correct. Then this Hausa man jumped down and said, why will you say my particulars are not correct? I passed through FCT, where Road Safety and VIO said they confirmed that my particulars are what? Correct. I passed through Kennedy, they asked me, my particulars are correct. I passed through Benin, they say my particulars are correct. And my youth police for here telling me my particulars are not correct. So if you say my particulars are not correct, see Biro here, correct why it's not correct and give my particulars, let me go. Are we together? Meaning his appointments, his particulars are what? Correct. I'm referring to the MD National Film Corporation, Dr. Ali Nuhu in our midst. Let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. And also the DG, National Commission for Museum and Monuments is here. My very good friend, Mr. Olubile Holloway. Let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us. Yes, I think something touched my mind when they talk about the storytelling. Not knowing that at least we Nigerians are blessed. This is another icon of the storytelling. She taught me storytelling when I was in primary 2. George.
Bulus, we'll talk about that. All right, thank you very much. Please give yourselves a round of applause, distinguished guests. If we look at our program, next on the program is a fireside chat. But quickly before I invite the distinguished guests coming up for that, if you noticed earlier on, there was a time I was speaking and I stuttered a bit. I stuttered a bit because when I was employed at the National Council for Arts and Culture in 2003, shortly after that I was part of a drama presentation. And one of my lines said to make culture a veritable exchange earner. And that line has stuck. So earlier on, I was trying to talk about using culture to earn revenue, and it was that line that was coming up, and I was trying to find another vocabulary, and it just did not come. But now I am validated, because on stage now, my DG just talked about intentional storytelling, and not just that, monetizing our mythology, which is something that is close to my own heart. I do storytelling with children, and I try to bring a lot of our myths into today's reality with them. So moving on, it's now time for our fireside chats. Are we ready with setup? Are we ready with setup? Okay, please, before. Okay, so it's my honor and privilege to bring up for the fireside chat our Honorable Minister Barrister Anatu Musawa, our mother in the house today. Please, if you don't clap for her, I will not leave this place. I will not leave this place. Thank you very much, Ma. Also, yes, ma'am. All right. Also on this fireside chat is the chairman of, let me see if I can remember, if I can recollect, he's the chairman of the Forum of Commissioners of Arts and Culture all over Nigeria. He's my Oga, he was my lecturer, Professor Rasaki Ojo Bakari. Please, you're welcome on stage, sir. Then I've also been told that part of this chat is Baba Agba and his SA to the Honorable Minister. Please give him a round of applause. And finally, on this fireside chat, we have my own DG, the DG with the steez, the walking encyclopedia of culture. Please help me make warmly welcome on this stage, Mr. Obi Asika. I can't hear the clap. Hey. Please give yourselves also a round of applause. Thank you very much. Do we all have microphones?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How many minutes have we got? We've got time, right? Wow. 10. Okay. All right. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Honorable Minister, DG, our host DG, the chairman of the Forum for Commissioners of Culture, and the other DGs here present, and out to everyone in the house. I think we've heard a lot. Yes. So we've just been joined by the Minister of Tourism. Thank you so much, Ma, for being here. And I think it really speaks to the collaboration that we're having. I think we've heard a lot of interesting presentations. All right, thanks. So I think the way we should go with this is the road ahead. So, you know, as has been mentioned, there was an earlier forum where the various DGs of culture and the minister went over the ministerial roadmaps, the deliverables, and the plans were shared. The DG NCAC has also shared his roadmap. My colleagues earlier shared the ministry's engagement roadmap for the subnationals as a way of rallying everyone together, and we got the commitment from the subnationals that they're going to key in. So I think for us now is how do we move forward? What's the road ahead? What does that look like? How can we really galvanize this revolution, this renaissance that really I think aptly summarizes what we're trying to achieve? You know, and I like what the DG NCAC mentioned about intentional storytelling and the fact that we've had this for a long time, but now we have to have this sort of cultural, artistic storytelling renaissance where we tap back to our source. And as the DG for tourism mentioned, we have to come up with this new cool and this new way of projecting. So really looking forward to, you know, Honorable Minister, do we start with you? Okay, please.
Thank you very much for coming. A protocol was established earlier. I'd like to stand on that, but I'd also like to acknowledge, as we were deliberating, the Honourable Minister of Tourism my sister, my twin, my Siamese twin, my friend walked in, so I'd like you to give her a hand of applause. Thank you so much for coming. So I think just to piggyback on what you said, because I think Mr. Obiaseka, the DG, has already really laid everything down. And you know, when we both had a roadmap. We started with a strategic framework, of course, based on what the vision of Mr. President had. He had a vision to, I say always, to try to diversify away from oil. And I think one of the areas that he thought that there was a huge resource that had been completely untapped was the area of creative industry. I think that was a very, very wide choice, because moving ahead, you spoke about in future how the majority of the population is going to be a younger demographic. And what you find is with this younger demographic, their interest really is mainly in the creative industry. And I think it is important for us to really look at that, because, you know, the creative industry has sort of evolved so much that even without going to school, in the corridors of your house, in your bedroom, you can create content. And this is a huge amount of power that we have. So being unable to give these young Nigerians that have the ability to create this content the enabling environment for them to be able to thrive, I think really was a crying shame. For the first time in Nigeria, a government has come that has seen worth in creating this ministry that caters specifically to the creative industry. But then again, looking at culture, because within culture, there's a huge resource. I think people often say, you don't know where you're going to unless you know where you're coming from. And I think Otumba touched on that earlier on. So the issue of culture, the issue of creative industry is a huge resource for us all, is a huge real estate for us. So we, in coming up with this fantastic framework that will give people within the industry not only the enabling environment, because when we talk about enabling environment, we talk about looking at their legal regulatory framework. Before now, the issue of IP had been more or less, you know, sort of hanging in the air. Everybody knew that IP needed to be delivered in a way that gives securitization and confidence to people that operate within the sector, and also investors. But up until now, it had just been something that had been sort of discussed, but we had not been able as a government to deliver it. I am very pleased to say that we as a government and as a ministry, working in conjunction specifically with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, will deliver IP in 3 weeks. That is a done deal. I would like to say 4 weeks just to be on the safe side, but I can categorically tell you that before 4 weeks, in 3 weeks, we will have the issue of IP completely finalized. This will give a lot of confidence to investors outside the country. This will give confidence to people to creatives that will hopefully be able to use even their IP as collateral. We are working on a number of initiatives, taking it to FEC, whereby you will be able to also have infrastructure. Infrastructure, I think you touch a lot on infrastructure. So once we are able to get this regulatory framework in place, we're also able to deal with the issue of infrastructure. I think the framework, the enabling environment, the basis of that has already been taken care of. So that's really starting at the very bottom. Now, building on that, I spoke about our framework, our strategic roadmap, which we had already unveiled. Many of you would have had access to our 8-point agenda. I think you touched just briefly on that. So we already have that. We have a number of initiatives, 14 initiatives that key in directly to these 8-point agenda. So with that, I think it gives creatives within the industry a lot of leeway for them to be able to really create in a way that will add value to them, add value back into the country. And then you have, and a number of our DGs, keen into our own roadmap, have been able to create fantastic roadmap for yourself. Now, looking at that, we know that we have given creatives a fantastic platform. But beyond that, we wanted to be able to take this message, this project, to the States. Because if you don't localize it, you're unable to really touch the spirit of many Nigerians who live within these states. It's not in Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt or Kano. Many people that have the ability to contribute within the space live in the rural areas. So it was necessary for us to do a handshake from federal to the states, subnational, so that we can do this Renaissance project. And this Renaissance project does a lot more than just reaching out to creatives. It's a legacy project, not only for the president or for the ministry or for the state. It's a legacy project for the industry itself. This is one way that we can really keep the message of culture and creativity alive in a way that we can cultivate it for the future generations. We know that governments come and go. And when governments come and go often, when a new government comes, they come with a new strategy. And the lack of continuity, I think, is one of the problems that we have in Nigeria. I believe that one of the reasons why Lagos has been able to thrive and to continue thriving is because you can see a string of continuity in Lagos. It has happened since 1999. But in many other states, because of politics, the nature of politics, you find that that continuity is missing. So we think that by making this handshake from federal to the states, we are able to give legacy to the industry of culture and creative so that it is something that will outlast governments. It is also a legacy for the states because now it is no longer, nobody is working in silos because we are here in the federal coming up with a number of initiatives. The states are also coming up with a number of their initiatives, their strategies, their roadmaps. But it is important for us to join hands together because we are working for one people, for the Nigerian people. So it's important for us to do this together so that we are able to share responsibility. There are some things that it is really the mandate of federal. There are some that is a mandate of the states. So why not collaborate and partner in a way that it becomes the mandate of us one in the interest of this fantastic industry? So I think it is very important. This Renaissance project is a legacy, like I said, beyond just the government. Is not about the state, is not about the ministry, is not about the president, is about the industry, is about the future generation, so that we can give them something, so that in your little village of Tabani Erado in Katsina, you can create something and you have the resources to really tap into that because we have been able to take that to the states. I'm hoping that in every single state, we will be able to create a creative village in every single state. Because what you find is there's a unique expression in every state. And I think that state should take ownership of that. And we'll give you the support and hopefully share the resources and try to find the resources from the federal to be able to allow the states to build and to expand, and this cultural expansion that we talk about. We want to do a cultural expansion that will allow Nigeria to become the cultural, to become the cultural hub of not just Africa, but really of the world. And I think we have the ability to do that because the whole world is interested in our content, in our talent, in who we are as a people. And we want to be able to do that in the States as well, to bring this cultural expansion within the States. When I go to my village, one thing that I see, no matter what everybody goes through, we know the challenges and we're working on the challenges. But every corner of that village, you see an expression of what culture is. The woman that is struggling just to feed her family, you find her doing little tapestry. That is a huge resource for Nigeria. And we want to work again, hand in hand, with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to see, once we do this Renaissance project and take this cultural handshake, cultural collaboration to the state, we can see how we can also collaborate with that ministry, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to see how we can also monetize that internationally. So I think a fantastic initiative and a fantastic partnership, collaboration that we can do that will really offer a lot of resources and hope for just the common man that just wants to have that cultural expression. And I thank you, Mr. Obi, for giving us, DG, for giving us this platform to be able to do that. We hope, as a team, this project will start from today. And I thank you very much, Honourable Commissioner, for accepting our offer. So this project, we hope, will start from today. We have put together our proposal that we have for each state. What we have tried to do is to localize it to the state, to sort of fit the uniqueness of the fantastic culture of the state and the monuments and all the different expressions, like I said, that you have within the states. So we have done that from what we have, the mandate that we have at the federal. And we want to send it to every single state. What we want the states to now do is to look at that and to make an input, make your own input. You already, more than us, know what is needed within the state. So if you can build, help us build on that framework that we have sent to you. And I have reached out to the governors, hoping through the office of the Vice President, and we hope to make a presentation to the National Executive Council so that we can get the buy-in of the governors. And I have reached out to a number of governors and said that we will send our own template to the states. So I really hope that the commissioners will get to work immediately and try to build on that proposal and on that framework. So by the time I get to the National Executive Council, the next National Executive Council, I'll have something also to present to them and to give to each governor. This is what we have done in tandem with your commissioners, seeing they are the ones that have the mandate of what happens within the cultural and cultural and creative space. We have built this. And so the work starts from today. Hopefully we will make a presentation to the budgetary office to give us money so that we will be able to sort of hit the ground sprinting as far as this particular project is concerned. So I thank you again for accepting our proposal. And I'm really looking forward to coming to the States. We will be making a tour of every single state. Hopefully, we're going to start with the Southeast. I've promised the DG that we're going to start in the Southeast. But we will come to every single state. But because it's going to take a long time for us to come to to cover the whole country, it's quite a vast country. We hopefully, by the time we get to every single state, the project has already started. So thank you very much for accepting. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Honourable Minister. I think the Honourable Minister has really given us a lot of insight into some things that are happening, and I would say some of the pillars and anchors of this project. But I think two things that stand out very clear are IP and the infrastructure. And I think this is something that the states would have a lot to say, given the fact that, the sort of IP and the culture comes from within. So I would like the Honorable Commissioner to please give us some insights on, just what you've been doing and what's been going on at the subnational and what you see as the way forward in keying into this project from this standpoint.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, the Honorable Minister of Tourism, the DGs of the parastatals, the Honorable Commissioners, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by saying that I'm touched by your robust sense of humility, ma. For the first time, the states are being carried along, are being discussed with. One of the drawbacks has been the approach to development communication. So now we are being treated like stakeholders that are truly holding the stake. And we are very happy, we are very excited. With this approach, there is only one place to go, and that is the top. The top. A lot is happening in the states currently. They say necessity is the mother of invention. With the poor state of the economy, most of our governors have no choice other than seek alternative means of generating income. And that has forced them to look at arts, culture, tourism, and the creative economy. So they are beginning to take this sector very, very serious because of that. But two things are involved for us to really get to where we want to be. Paradigm shift and mindset change. What do I mean? The paradigm is about the structure. The structure. So it seems we are getting that structure right with the approach of the Honorable Minister. In fact, the two Honorable Ministers, because about 2 or 3 months ago, we were in Abuja with the Honorable Minister of Tourism, and it was the same approach we witnessed. So, with that, and with the fantastic job that the DG NCAC and other DGs are doing, and with our governors in our states having no choice but to be serious with what we do in this sector, we are beginning to get the paradigm. It's shifting. So, what we need to do is the mindset. The mindset. Now, the individuals that we work with at different levels. In the states, you have other executive members, other council members. You have the commissioners of finance who think that each time you ask for money, it is a jamboree. You are going to waste resources of the state. It's all about, they think that your festivals are parties, so you have those who have to agree with you for your proposals to be passed, to be approved. You have the Accountant General who tells you, forget about festival first, I have not paid salaries. So we are working with all kinds of characters at that level. Beyond that, even in the industry, and I'm happy that Otumba is heading NICO now. NICO, the job of NICO is to give proper orientation to workers of the industry. And NICO should be assisted, to do that job. NICO is an academy and should be an academy. Let me give an instance. Sometimes ago, I worked in Gambia and Senegal as an artist. And I knew Baba Mal and Youssou N'Dour. In Abuja here, when I was here in Abuja, I'm talking of about 20, 25 years ago, just one set of what we call Senegalese bubu in Abuja here was selling for 25, 30,000 naira. Then, Senegalese bubu. That apparel was made popular by Baba Mal. Senegalese was made popular by Baba Mal. Baba Mal will not wear anything apart from the Senegalese apparel while performing. I do not have problems with the, what's the name? The Adeleke, Davido of this world and all that. They are beautiful. They should promote our apparels. They should promote our apparels. Any artist, any Nigerian artist that on the global stage is promoting jeans and other things is helping the Nigerian textile worker to lose his job. So this is how the things we are talking about can become an economy. So what I use that just as an example, that we have job to do. It doesn't end with the ministries, both at the federal and in our states. But we have to do more work with our industry players, because as paradigm is shifting, mindsets must change. If mindsets do not change, it will be like that parable, the parable of the sower. You know, those of you who read the Bible, you know the parable of the sower. The beautiful seeds that are being sown must be received by fertile soil for the seeds to germinate. Those soils are our colleagues in the industry. Their minds are the soil. So we have to tune their minds so that these beautiful seeds are received. They percolate down to that level, and then all of us can succeed together. Because the sector is not, like you said, Ma, the sector is not about the federal ministry. The sector is not about the state ministry. The sector is about the industry players who make a living from the things they do within the sector. That is where our work is. And that is where we are going to concentrate our energy moving forward. I pause for now.
Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner. A lot of words of wisdom and I think nuggets that we really need to think about. So to our host DG, so I'll bring it back because I think we're getting somewhere here, and just like the Honorable Commissioner has mentioned, you know, the paradigm shift, the mindset shift, sort of how we engage our culture, how we engage who we are, and how we also project that. And I'll take it back to the comment you made on stage about Shango and the sort of comparison with Thor. And the question specifically I'd ask now is, what is the place for this projection, but also some certain level of reimagining or redefinition, so to speak? So I'll clarify this. So you have culture, you have heritage. And there's always this battle of what is culture, you know, what is our culture, this is our culture, that's our culture. Now, personally, I like to go at it from a point of view that heritage stands a bit more stagnant, but it's added to, but culture seems to always evolve. And, you know, whatever was popular 5 years ago, 10 years ago might not be the same. And even what is popular, what we think is popular might not really be what's popular. So giving all of that and your point about, you know, Shango Thor, we look at it as packaging, but really there's that backing, whether through the IP, well, the IP infrastructure enabling that money of 30 billion to go into it. So what do you see as the potentials for this space and, you know, the project generally and all the other projects going on?
Tutu. Be a nice, simple question. Tutu. Hey, is it okay? Man, that's an expensive piece, man. Whew. I felt the pain from here. I know. Yeah, so in terms of what you asked about, I don't know if anybody here, there's a television show called Bob Hart's Abishola. Has anybody here watched that show? Okay. So Bob Hart's Abishola. So this TV show has been on US primetime television for 5 years. One of the #1 rated shows on CBS network. And the actress in it is called Folake Oluwafoyeku. I've been in discussions with her to support her on a project that she's developed, which she's pitching to major studios in the States. The point I should make is that because she's been on that show for the last 5 years, she's actually probably the #1, because she came out of Ife, I think, and then moved to the States. So unlike some of our diaspora talent, like John Boyega and David Oyelowo and Chiwetel Ejiofor, who were born and bred in the West, she came out of here. She reached out to my agency maybe 3 months ago. She will be in The Lion King that is coming out shortly. And she's a major, major name and player in the American ecosystem. And I was delighted when she reached out, because what did she reach out for? She was looking for production support. What is she doing? She has basically developed an entire slate of films and projects based around the Orisha. So Shango is coming, for real. We're involved. So yes, and I'm prayerful that she's going to find support. She's talking to some of the biggest studios. But the big thing about it also was my concern and interest was that if they get that deal signed, my key is that they must shoot a big portion of it in Nigeria. Because over the years, we've been involved in many of these projects. I remember talking with some people about the Fela biopic in 2008, which is a long time ago now. And they wanted to shoot the shrine scenes in Mexico. And I was like, you can't fake Lagos. You need to actually come and shoot it in Lagos. And some of these things is about making the environment open for other people to come in and invest, to put the production lots in place so that the filmmakers can do what they want to do. But it's happening already. Kunle Afolayan has an incredible production lot that he's developed. I think it's in Ondo State, Oyo. Bolane Alston Peters has got an incredible facility up in Ekbe. And Clarence Peters, who is the famous music video director, also has a 4-acre production lot down in Ekbe towards the free zone. So there's more and more coming. But we still need more facilities. Because I can tell you today, from my perspective as a television executive, having produced some of the biggest shows, in Nigeria today, if we're producing Big Brother and Nigerian Idol at the same time, we can't actually do it because we don't have the crew to execute, right? Yeah, we can only do one of those really big shows at a time, which is one of the reasons why you see Mnet is stapling them. They don't do them at the same time because multicam directors, who are the guys that do the big game shows, there are only 5 in Nigeria that can do it at the level. So if you're a football person and you're watching Sky, it's a multicam director that enables you to experience the game that way. There are 37 cameras on a Premiership game. It's not 3 cameras, it's not 4 cameras, it's not a camera on the halfway line. There's a lot of things involved to deliver that experience. It's a little bit like our festivals, where for me, the key thing is how do you transfer your festivals to experiences, right? When we were in Oyo, I met a lady called Dr. Paula Gomez. I hope she's here. I don't know if she made it. She said she was coming. She's been a cultural ambassador to the Alafin of Oyo for the last 12 years. I asked her, it was my first time there. I've been talking about Shango for 15 years. And she goes, this is my 17th time. And I'm just looking at her like, wow. She's Portuguese. There's a lot of Brazilians there. And one of the things she mentioned, UNESCO just gave the Shango Festival its certification in December, right? Which is a great thing. Yeah, but guess what? We almost lost it because Brazil applied for the certification. Yeah, you're saying, but if you see the Shango Festival in Brazil, they spent millions of dollars. It spent a lot of money. It's a totally different experience. It's a world-class experience. But the only thing that Nigeria had going for it was we could establish that we are the source. So they're the derivative, but we're the source. It's the same thing, the carnivals in Jamaica and Trinidad, the source of them is the Ofala in the east, right? The Trinidad in Haiti is from Yoruba culture. The troubles in Brazil is from Yoruba culture. Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica is Igbo culture. And in America, it's all of them, right? And the thing about it is, we have refused to connect to our own selves, which is part of what Origins is about, connecting to ourselves, but also to deliver these things as full experiences. You know, if I come to you from the perspective of television, there's a difference between coverage and production, okay? And what we've been doing is coverage. What we need to do now is production, which means that when you bring out the masquerade, you have to shoot the masquerade properly. So you don't just see the masquerade as just a random thing. When you bring out the dancers, and you've got to translate culture. Please, this is a message for everybody. Please, when we come to your festivals, understand that the audience watching does not necessarily understand your language, doesn't necessarily know what is happening. So you have to translate the culture so it can go further. Because most Nigerians actually do not understand each other's culture. They watch it, they come, they clap, but actually they're lost. So what you need is to translate the culture. Because if you translate the culture, what then happens is, like the way I was saying, we lack products and merchandise. I'm sure the minute you know that you get on any plane to anywhere in the world, when you land there, the first thing you see, 2 months ago I was in America, I was at the Smithsonian. Even before I even entered the actual exhibitions, I got stuck in the shop for like an hour and a half. And I was like, man, I don't have enough money. I can't buy everything here. But I left with enough, right? And that's products and merchandise. We do not have products and merchandise around any of our festivals. So I cannot take an Argungu Festival t-shirt. I don't have an Ofala cap. I don't have anything from anywhere. That cannot be right when we have more festivals than literally anywhere in the world. When we asked the CEC to submit their festivals, I almost passed out because we're doing cultural expressions, and Taraba, is the Taraba people here? Taraba submitted 287 languages from Taraba. I'm still dealing with that. We have to. Edo State submitted 200 languages from Edo State, and they were very clear. They said these are languages. No, Plateau State, sorry. Plateau State. They said these are languages, these are not dialects. And I was like, wow, Wikipedia is totally off, right? Because Wikipedia says 251 languages. That's 3 states. Edo, when we submitted festivals, and I still have to confirm it from my director of research, but I think Edo State submitted 1,400 festivals. And I'm still trying to work out how. Because I thought maybe Nigeria had like 300 festivals. By the time we finished, I think we have about 10,000 so far that we've aggregated. And what that means is that there's so much to tell. There's so many untold stories. There's so much content, but it needs to be formatted. It needs to be packaged. And when you do that, you will make money. Because once you create the product, it's representation, right? If I'm from Ekiti, like Prof here, you know, Prof didn't say everything. Prof has a PhD in West African dance. I was almost going to push him on stage with Shuaibu, who's one of my DJs, who's a former member of the national troupe, to join the dancers, because that talent is in everybody. It's not even, you know, Nigeria, if it was all about talent, Nigeria has it all. And we'll get to the Nigerian talent conversation a little bit later. But just to answer you finally, I think what it is that when you reimagine something and you rethink it, it's been right there in front of you the whole time, but you just didn't appreciate what it was. And when people talk